a lot of the foreign media who didn't go at that time to Kashmir. Even national media couldn't go because of the revocation of the special status. So the foreign media was basing its reportage on what your voices were saying.
I regret putting out that information because I think that it was used by a lot of anti-India forces here and abroad. And it is, these things become truisms of sorts, as you said. This, army rapes in Kashmir, it's a truism, and everybody believes it to be true, or everybody keeps repeating it, that kind of a thing. But I did not check it myself, and I realized that it wasn't my place to put it out. So I regret putting out those tweets.
So now that you've taken the turn, you realize, and you have even praised the Home Minister, you've praised the Prime Minister, you've praised the Indian Army, which is literally something that Kashmiris didn't do for decades together. You've praised, and it's wrong for me to say Kashmiris as a whole, a certain section of Kashmir. Now when you do that, you lose friends, you lose a certain section for whom you were a heroine of sorts. Do you regret that?
I think that, as I said, some of the things that I've said, they've been used by anti-India forces in India and abroad for furthering a certain narrative. So I think it's also my duty. I'm speaking from a sense of duty. I'm not in politics anymore. I've just been selected as an assistant professor. I've been studying with my head down for the last 3 years. So now that I'm not in politics anymore, I believe that I am at a much more freedom to say what I want. And, I want to point out one thing. I have topped every exam since childhood that I've appeared in, okay? I got into campus placement, I was not discriminated against in campus placement. And I've never personally faced any discrimination from the army or anything, right? But there is a certain narrative that goes around, that army is like this or army is like that. You hear stories, and there may have been some incidents, during the when the insurgency was at peak, etc. You hear certain things, then you form a certain narrative, and you feel discriminated not because discrimination has happened against you, but because there is a narrative, which is why now I feel it is my duty to put out the correct narrative. Because I have alienated myself from the progress of this country. How? 10 years ago, I was placed in a corporate company, and I left that, because I was moved by the human rights and everything. Today, I could have been like my classmates. They are in senior leadership positions in corporate companies. What did I do? Like this whole burden of, sort of being revolutionary comes on to Kashmiris or Muslims or whatever, because we feel this perceived sense of injustice. There was no sense of injustice. I got placed along with the others, and I was doing pretty well. But because of this second-hand narrative of injustice, or this second-hand sense of victimization that was pushed on to me, I left all of it. I alienated myself from, the progress of this country, which is becoming a digital superpower of sorts right now. I don't want others to do the same, and that's the only reason I'm speaking out. Right now, we see a really well-intentioned administration, the Honorable Prime Minister. He doesn't care about criticism. He has taken so many radical decisions, even at the cost of his personal popularity. He doesn't care about criticism. He's a selfless man who is working for the national interest. You look at the Honorable Home Minister. He has ensured peace in Kashmir, regardless of what anyone criticized at that time. He has ensured peace and security in Kashmir. Kashmiri mothers, Kashmiri parents, they will be grateful to him for generations because their boys have been saved. You and I, we can say whatever we want. But, the mother who loses a child, only she knows how painful that is. So I think Kashmiri mothers are going to praise the Home Minister for, generations to come for, ensuring. And I hope that this peace lasts. I hope that, this kind of present situation continues to prevail.
Your commendation, Shehla, it coincided with your sharing of an interview featuring Rais Mattu, the brother of Hizbul terrorist Javed Mattu. And Rais displays the Indian national flag in that video, and you posted it. And he says in an interview that he waved the Tiranga because it was part of his heart, telling him that, and there was no pressure on him. Was there any pressure on you? Because you were saying that it is when you did your research, you got to know and you willingly stepped out of that echo chamber of which you were part. your critics will say that there was pressure on you.
There was nobody pressured me. I've been living my life quite peacefully. As I told you, I mean, if there was discrimination, they could have given me a 0 in the interview, or I could have been barred from the process. There is no pressure on me. I'm living my life normally. Yes, there is the question of what I've said, and I am willing to apologize for it because I relied on second-hand information to say some of these things.
Click here to watch the full episode.